It's time for another box. Hello everybody and welcome back. Well, the postman's come and the postman's gone and he left something. In here is a pretty much brand new LOTMAXX SC-10 3D printer. I don't know if it's a kit or if it's partially pre-assembled or what we're looking at. It's all new. This did take some time to get to me. That would have been a fun story, but that will be one for another day. And let's have a look inside right now, because I actually have no idea what we're going to find in here, and it's just going to be fun to have a look at it. So about 2 to 3 times every year I get a request if I can do a 3D printer review of a standard FDM 3D printer, and most of the time I decline those because it's not really interesting for everybody to watch me unpack another i3 clone or another Prusa clone, and it's no fun for the people who sent me these printers if I just go on and say, oh yeah, it's another Prusa clone or it's another plain i3 clone. So I don't have this many 3D printer reviews on. I do like to do the new resin printers right now because there are a lot of different implementations where you get the same stuff. So you can have one that has a DLP, you can have one that has an LCD, or you can have one which has a laser, or mixers, or something that we've not seen before. So I'm really into those right now. But this here, this was different because I got approached and basically I just got the information, do you want to review this? And the main features were, it's cheap, it's silent, it has resume capability, and it is aggressive. And I was like, wait, aggressive? I've never had an aggressive printer. So let's have a look at it and see just how aggressive it is. And I can tell you right now, the packing is really good. This is probably the best packing I've had in a long time. And it comes with filament. We've got PLA white. And we've got some more PLA white. So we've got 400 grams of sealed PLA. That's a really good start. These printers should always come with enough filament to test them out. And I'm not talking about like 5 meters or so. They should come with a real spool of filament, because if you're going to try something out, you don't want to stop after like 20 minutes when your demo print is half done. You want to get printing, you want to see how it works, and you want to get to the end. Everything else is just frustrating. Another anonymous box. What's in the box? It's not a dead cat. It is a power cord. Pretty standard. Nothing wrong with that. It is a set of tools, some screws, cable ties, and a guarantee card. We also get a really long USB cable. No, it's not that long. We get some snips. Nice. I always wonder why we get snips with a 3D printer. I really don't need them that often. Maybe for cutting the cable ties, but I don't know. There is, ooh, that's a real weapon. Quite often they come with a spatula like this, but this one here has been sharpened. Let's have a close look at this. This thing here is really, 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 really sharp. This is wow, just cuts the cardboard. Yeah, these are pretty useful for getting your prints off the print bed. And I do have some of those that I've actually sharpened myself. This is the first one that I got that was pre-sharpened. Really be careful with these because that is basically a weapon. Let's put it away because I'm going to hurt myself with this, I know it. And this here is the spool holder, and we've got one screw. Oh no, it's more than that. It's all right, understand. 2 screws and 2 T-slot nuts. They're for the spool holder. So we got filament, we have the tools that we need to put it together. We have cable ties to make everything stick together. Well, there's some special tools in here. There's more. Well, first of all, here is a micro SD card with an SD card reader. It's probably got the software, the manual and everything on there. And in here, sticking out of the bag, I have to get this out, this is complicated. We have a needle for cleaning the print nozzle. Let's see if we can get this in focus. Focus, please. So this here's a needle that you can use to clean the print nozzle. That's nice that I thought of that. I'm probably going to need this for the extruder or the print head. And there's another nozzle in here. Let's have a look. This nozzle is marked. This nozzle is not marked at all. It looks like a 0.4 or 0.5 millimeter nozzle. So maybe they give you a second nozzle, which is also good. And there's a spanner, there's some hex wrenches, a small screwdriver, and basically everything you need to put it together, I think. Put the needle back in here. All right, we got the manual. I like manuals, I really do. I read them. I like manuals if they have good content. I like manuals if they tell you stuff that you really need to know. Yeah, this is a nice little manual. General list of parts. Gantry frame, base frame, toolkit in the box. device installation. So I suppose we will have the base already assembled, and we will have the gantry frame, and we're going to have to screw those two together and connect the wires to these steppers, as well as the heater and the end switches. So we have some information about the screen layout. We have instructions for loading the filament. Yeah, that's okay. We have instructions for leveling the bed. And finally, instructions for installing the software. It doesn't say what the software is. Looks like, from the looks of it, looks like some sort of Cura or something. So yeah, neat. Oh, we have a picture of the controller board. That's nice. Appears to be pretty standard. It says ARM on here, so I suppose it's an STM32 based board, 32-bit. Not that a 3D printer would need 32-bit, but that makes it possible to have nicer graphics and animations and stuff like that. Doesn't actually help the printer move the motors, because an 8-bit controller would be enough for that. All right, so let's dig in deeper. We have, now this packaging is this is really over the top. I like attention to detail, but they really outdid themselves here. That's like really nice. It's like a jigsaw. You have to put it back together when you're done. So right here we have the gantry, and can I just lift this out? No. That's the way it works. This here comes out first. So, yeah, as I suspected, the gantry is halfway pre-assembled. It's also pre-wired, so there's one big wire going down to the base. Let's have a look at what we can see here. Oh, okay. So we've got what looks like a 0.4 millimeter extruder nozzle down here. Let's get this over here. Everything is pre-assembled. This is 20 by 20 and 20 by 40 profiles. There appears to be a silicone sock over the heating block. There is a fan attached to the top, which cools the cooling block for the extruder. The extruder itself looks very much like the ones used by the Tronxy and by the TiVo printers, the small version with the small cooling block. We can actually see that the PTFE tube to the extruder from the extruder driver is relatively short. I like that because it makes it possible to use flexible filaments with this, and if the extruder can handle it, it's a lot easier if the PTFE tube is relatively short. You want to go as short as possible because the filament is just this little bit flexible, and it will bind on the inside of the PTFE just a little. What else can we see here? We've got a extruder driver here. It's not geared. Dang, I wish it was geared. The new extruder drivers with the gear reduction, they just work so much better, and they don't really increase the price that much. But I suppose they leave that out for the Pro version. So what else can we see? We've got the end switch. It's all pretty simple. I think we should just try and put it together. We do have the V-slot rollers here. They appear to be pretty large. The spacers on them are aluminium, which is good because if you got PTFE or plastic spacers, after a while these will deform, and it will just wreck the whole printer, because if they have some load on it and they deform, everything just starts to rattle and nothing fits anymore, and it basically breaks the printer. It's not only the prints that go bad, but the whole thing is just it's just a waste of time. The Tronxy X1 is one of those examples for that. It's got plastic spacers, and they're really poor quality, and they don't hold up that good. And almost all the Tronxys that I know of broke, and we actually got together and we made all metal spacers for those printers, and we fixed them all, and now they work. And it's just, the fix is so cheap, you could have just done it like that from the start. Yeah, I don't see anything else on here. Oh yeah, we have back here the filament sensor, which is just a switch-based sensor by the looks of it. You don't need anything particularly complicated just to find out that your filament is has run out or has broken. Switch will do. We got the Z-axis stepper. This is a non-flexible coupler. Yeah, that's okay. We have a threaded rod. I would say about 2 millimeters per turn, maybe even 3. Let's see what we have here. We have a standard threaded rod nut over here. We do not have any slack compensation, but since the printer is always loaded and during operation, the only thing that the gantry is going to do is go up. You don't really need slack compensation in there. Some printers have it, but most of them don't. And we can also see the extruder from the underside. Yeah, it does have a cooling fan on one side, so it will be blowing cool air from one side to the other. That's okay. This way of mounting the belt, just with this, with these bent brass rods, never seen that before. but yeah, it's cheap and it gets the job done, and it's probably pretty easy to get them to have a good tension the first time. I don't know how it is once these wear out a little, how you can readjust them. But apart from that, it's really nice. What else do we have here? We've got the print bed down here, and the print bed has, it looks like it has an adhesive, I think it can be taken off. Yeah, it has an extra adhesive bed. It is heated. I think it has quite a high heating power. I think that we're talking about more than 200 watts, but I don't think that can be true. Let's see if we can find it in the manual. No, I can't find it right now. It would be, yeah, we'll just have to research that. So let's try and get this out of the box some more. This is where it all goes wrong. There we go. Let's see if we can get this out and on the table. So I'll just tip you guys a little bit. It fits in here almost perfectly. So this whole packaging is this is insanely good. And well, the y-axis belt is not on. So we'll figure that one out. I'm going to take this out and bring you back then. So that's it out of the box, and well, the goodness continues. First of all, the heated print bed is 24 volts. That could mean that the entire system is running 24 volts, which would be cool, because some of the higher quality drivers actually run better with higher supply voltages. And it is said that this printer uses silent stepper controllers, which could mean that these silent stepper controllers are actually trinamic controllers, and that would be really cool. I can't confirm that yet, but I'm gonna go look for them. Also, the print bed and the moving table is slightly loose, and that is a good thing, because if this had been tightened down all the way, and if it had been put into the packaging and it would have gotten a slight hit from one side or another, the V-rollers could have bent, or the screws that they're on could have bent, or the metal parts could have gotten misaligned, and that is almost impossible to fix. So when I'm going to set this up, I will have to make sure that everything is lining up correctly, and I will have to tension the V-rollers to the profiles. But yeah, that is just the way it works, and it's a good thing that they didn't go through travel or through shipping pre-assembled. And another question that I wasn't sure about, how to tension the belts. It's really simple. There is a U profile which holds the bearings, and you have to undo the screws, and then you can move the U profile and you can tension everything. So it's really, really simple. Also, what I like a lot is the heated print bit actually has a cable guide. Really good. A lot of cheap printers don't have that. And the cable is protected, and as far as I can tell, it does not bend over too far. So that is pretty good quality. That is really nice. Also, all of the steppers on the gantry are already connected. The only one that I'm going to have to connect when I put it together is the Z-axis stepper and the Z-axis 0 position switch. It's so simple. It is really simple, and the whole device is it's not really heavy, but it's not light either. It does have a substantial weight. The casing is metal. The base does not feel super solid, but it's not flimsy either. The USB is on the front, which I think is great, because most of the time you have the printer standing on the back of the desk, and you've got your laptop computer or your normal computer or whatever you use to connect to the printer standing in the front of it, and a connection to the front just makes it a lot easier. Right here, this really small slot is your micro SD card slot, and yeah, position is okay. So everything is really, really nice. And yeah, let's just put those screws in, connect the wires. That should be done in like a couple of minutes. And let's have a look at it then. So before we put it together, let's have a look inside. As I suspected, only the X and Y axis steppers, the ones that move the most, have silent stepper drivers. These are TMC 2208 based stepper drivers, and they are reasonably good. They're very silent. They can have very fast ramp up. They have all the features that you want for a pretty good stepper operation, and they're very good for using with 24 volts, which this power supply is. What I also like is that the case is properly earthed to the earth lead and to the power supply. There are cable tie-down points inside the case, which is pretty nice. Overall, the cable management is pretty nice because most of the cables actually have little sleeves on them that tell you exactly what that cable is for, like the home switches, the filament detector, the stepper connectors, the extruder connector. Oddly enough, the feedback for the temperature sensors, they don't have that, and 2 wires. Oh, those are the fan wires. They also don't have that. The heater wire is okay, I suppose. It's for 24 volts. It's kind of a thin wire, but it's perfectly all right. I also like that they're using a Meanwell power supply, Those are proven to be pretty good. And I also like that the cables here have protective sleeving over them, and that's nice too. I also like the little fan right down here, which blows directly over all of the stepper controllers, hopefully keeping them a little cooler than they would be if it wasn't there. And as I suspected, the board is powered by an STM32F103 32-bit ARM controller, and it appears like the main board here also has provisions for a wireless controller, and it could be used with multi-extruders, which is not on this board, of course, because the printer does not support it. But all in all, yeah, that's really nice. So once again, a close-up of the controller board. The white stepper drivers here are the TMC ones. The other ones are probably using Allegro chips. These aren't so good for using them with 24 volts because they have to generate the same current for whatever they have to generate the same current for whatever stepper they're using, but the PWM duty cycle gets very small, and that presents a problem to these controllers, and they tend to get very warm then. But I suppose for the Z-axis stepper and for the extruder stepper, that is still fine, because they don't move that much, and they do have a slightly higher load, so I think this is going to work out. If they don't work out, you can still swap them for the Trinamic controllers. You would probably have to reposition the jumpers under them, but that's possible too. What I like a lot is the good power switch on the outside of the case, where you can really easily get to it. On a lot of printers, it's way in the back of the printer and hard to find. I also like that the power connector here has a fuse, and they're making use of the fuse. What I don't like is that this power connector actually has an open connection on the back of it. That's no problem as long as it stays closed, but there's no isolation on the back of this of the case of this connector. That could have been done better, but well, I don't know. That's just the way it is, I suppose. So these two are the only ones that you have to connect. That's kind of nice. And to tighten the Y-axis belt, we just need to open these two screws here. And pull out the tensioner. Oh, this is pulled out all the way to the end. almost. Fasten it back up again. And the tension is good. This is so wonderfully easy. Now, to remove the wobble from the table, you actually need to go to the V-rollers on the Y-axis, and there's a nut here, and you have to tighten this nut by turning it clockwise really, really carefully and slow. There should be some tension on this, and you have to go really, really slowly because this actually is a non-centered nut. The further you turn it, the more offset it produces, and basically what it does is it moves the roller closer to the rail, and once you've hit the real spot, the table will have no play. Don't overdo it because you're bending stuff. You really need to go look for the perfect spot where this has no play, but it's just barely touching the table. There is a problem involved here, and that is if the tension on this screw should not be enough, you basically have to disassemble the whole table to tension these screws again. It's kind of an odd solution, but I suppose there's nothing they could have done better to solve this. So you would have to somehow hold the screw down here and tighten the nut up on the top, and this is really hard to do. So for me, there's enough tension on these nuts so I can turn them and they won't turn back by themselves. One could use a little bit of Loctite on the top here, but I don't want to go that far. So I just had to give them, like, I don't know, about 5 to 10 minutes of turn, and now the table locks down perfect. But this is basically the same problem that I've seen before with other assemblies, where the table just after a while starts to get some free play. With these V-rollers, there's very little that you can do against it because you can't preload the nuts. That also isn't good because you want the table to be moving as easily as possible. So, yeah. But for this assembly here, it worked pretty well now. So let's have a look at how well this printer is lining up. If we put this on here, it shows 0 degrees. If we put it on here, it shows 0.1 degrees. About 0.1. And if we put it on here, it should also line up to 0.1 degrees. So 0.1 degrees is okay-ish. It means that we can line this up, but it will have a very slight tilt, whatever we build, of 0.1 degrees. And with this printer, it's really hard to fix this stuff because you would have to unscrew the profiles, set them again, and make sure that they somehow line up correctly. And that is really hard to do. Let's check the other sides. And it's 0 degrees, and we should have perfect 90 degrees here. And we're off by about 0.1 degrees again. going towards 0.2. So yeah, this is okay. It's not super, but that's okay. On the back side we have 0.2. It's also 0.1, leaning towards 0.2. That's okay. So we can expect pretty good prints from this thing. Yeah, it's a nice device, it really is. I like the setup, I like the cable management, I like the simple style, I like the attention to detail, like the cable guide. It looks really nice, really nice. So this brings the unboxing part of this video to an end, and basically this video. A nice moderately sized printer. The print size is 235 by 235 by 280 millimeters. It's a 24 volt unit. It has a heated print bed with probably 200 to 240 watts of power, so it should be really fast. We've got a nice small extruder with active cooling, and we do have nice little things like a silicone sock on the heater block. We have a nice short extruder tube. Everything is really nicely set up. All of the belts are pretty easy to keep tensioned. They're well hidden away. We have good bearings. We've got the proper steppers. We have micro switches for the end stops. Basically a very nice set. I like it a lot. And yeah, this basically ends the unboxing part. And I'm going to get all of this set up until I'm, well, somehow happy with it. And once I'm at that point, I'm going to test it and come back with a review video. So for now, thank you very much for watching, and bye-bye.